Hey, welcome back to Ink and Effort, where we turn your writing dreams into a productive reality, one page at a time. I'm James Fox. I'm your host, and I'm pretty excited about this week because last week we did this talk about writer's block, and I think that's a challenge that always scares people. And I think this week we're really kind of focused on ways that we can encourage you to be comfortable when you're writing. We're talking about writing spaces and creating an effective space to work, to write. And I've chosen the special guest today very purposefully because of the way we are going to pair off of each other in that we both kind of thrive in chaos. So, and I'll go into some details on that later on, but the important thing is it's important to have a dedicated writing space. Whatever that looks like for you is fine. You could be the person that has the she shed out, on the back 40 where you take a quick drive or ride a quad out to the shed and you've got all your favorite stuff. And that's kind of what I've got here, right? Is I've got my space with, a mini fridge full of snacks and drinks. And I've got an espresso machine that gets used and abused every single day. And for the most part, I am left alone whenever I'm in here and I can kind of do my work day, right? That's just kind of how it is. So, there's lots of other ways. Some people have a little nook in their house. Some people write in their cars, which we'll talk more about here in a little bit. And everything is okay. The important thing is that it's a space that you feel creative, you feel empowered, and it's repeatable, right? If you can only write when you're finished rock climbing up the, El Capitan, unless you're going to do that every day, and if you can, more power to you, it's going to be hard to repeat, right? You need something that's repeatable, something that's comfortable, and something that works for you, something that empowers your creativity. We're going to talk about some of the things, I think, like ergonomics. I think the big one is minimizing distractions for most people. I personally like distractions. I want loud music. I want people walking around. It can be kind of tough for me to kind of just be isolated in my office at times. I get kind of fidgety, but I'm an extroverted extrovert, so that makes sense to me. Personalization, make it yours, make it your space. I got all my fun stuff back here, the different D&D books and swords and some of my favorite awards that I've won. I think that's important. So, you want to feel like you're at home. You want to feel like you belong. Don't make it feel like you're renting an office for a day. Although, hey, maybe you want to go rent an office where you can leave your trash and walk away at the end of the day and not worry about it anymore. So anyway, I think we all kind of get the idea of what a writing space is, right? But it's a space that you can kind of claim as your own and be creative, be distraction free if that's your jam, and write, right? Again, butt in chair, hands on keys. That's what we're aiming for here. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our special guest for the day and welcome Melinda Kucera to the show. Melinda, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. One of the things I think is really fun about you and I is we share a mastermind group. And that's one of the things that we talk about in the show is building community and whatever. But we are two authors that kind of thrive in chaos. We really like, there are a lot of authors, I won't say a majority, but a lot of them really like, tight controlled spaces that they can kind of hunker down. And we are more the more buildings that are on fire around us, the more words we're putting down. Yeah. So I'm really excited that you and I are doing this episode together. So tell me about your writing space, whatever that looks like to you.
I don't have one writing space. I have a few. I still work full time because I hate advertising and marketing. I like my newsletter. I love my newsletter. I don't love all the other stuff that comes with that you have to do outside of that.
Yeah, you and me both.
Sell books. Yeah. So I still work full time. Gives me health care though, so that's a plus. So our writing schedule is whenever I can write. So on the days that I work from home, I'll keep my butt in the chair and do some writing afterwards on my computer until I can't stand being here anymore and it starts feeling like a job. And then I'll just pick up my phone and put on some PJs and curl up under the covers and write on my phone for a few hours. I wrote a lot of books on my phone actually, and if there's nothing to do at work, I'll write on my phone or on the train, or sometimes if I like to walk. I have an app that'll read the book back to me. It's a free app. It's called @Voice, @Voice. It's on Android or Apple. It's been free forever. And it'll play it back, and I'll just pull up the book file and just start editing it in Microsoft Word or whatever. And so I do some writing that way, and then you can hit the little microphone button. I have the Google keyboard, and there's a little like dictation button, and you can just speak, and it will type words for you. So while you're walking, you can look more like a maniac. As you're wandering around, as long as you're not in a construction sense of noise, it'll get most of what you're saying correct. If you're in a construction with lots of noise, you'll get some really interesting things. They're not what you said.
I would love to
do. I know.
I would love to do that. I speak and write completely different. So I've tried the dictation thing, and it's a hot mess. Like it would take me so long to edit it. It's not even worth it. I can't even understand my notes that I dictate half the time. Like when I'm driving, I'll be like, oh, I know how to do that scene. Notes. Okay. And I start talking, and then later I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. The trick I found is to like glance at, like, to use when you hit the dictation function on the Google Keep, it doesn't keep, you can keep talking, but it only records it puts down the words that you were saying for a period of time, then it stops and you have to hit it again. So I watch what it's doing, and maybe I'll edit it, maybe I won't. I mostly would hit the microphone like when characters are talking, because it's easier. It didn't used to be this way, but because I've done it for so many years, like listening to the book and editing it that way, like now, like I find that like just it's easier to just hit the button and be like, this person said X, and just dictate that, and then type whatever else was going on around them, because my brain like short circuits, and I'm like dictating, and I'm like, they're doing other things, but I can't think of what they're doing. I don't know. I can dictate the dialogue, but I can't dictate what they were doing while they were dialoguing.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
That's interesting, actually.
Like a train going off the tracks.
You and me both. Like, that's interesting, actually, because like dialogue is something that you can speak, right? It makes sense. You have two characters talk together. But what I always stumble with is like trying to describe a scene or trying to describe actions or whatever. Yeah, but like you could mix it, like you could tell a whole story, a whole chapter in dialogue.
I've done that.
And then go back in and just add
Yep, I've done that.
I'm gonna try this.
Because like I can hear them talking, and I can just say what they were saying, and I'm like, well, I know who's speaking. If there's more than two characters seen, then I'll put like a name next to it so I don't confuse when the third person jumped in.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna try that. I mean, you're helping me now. I'm gonna come back.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun speaking the dialogue, and oftentimes like what you thought they were gonna say, you start saying, you're like, wait, I don't. That's not quite.
It's not quite right.
Or you're thinking about what they're gonna say, and like some completely different dialogue comes out of your mouth, and you're reading it back later, and you're like, this is so awesome. Where did I get this from? This was not in the plan at all.
Nice.
You chaos demon characters, but this is great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, how important do you think having a dedicated writing space is, regardless of what that is?
I don't think it's as important to have a space, because if you have one space and you can only write in that space, then what happens if you have to move, or you're traveling, or your schedule changes and you can't be in that space at that time? I think it's more important to have a dedicated, like after work, I'm going to spend some time writing. I'll be somewhere and I will do the writing. And as long as you do that, then you end up being like me, who can like be anywhere. And you're like, okay, this is the time that I would normally be writing. Like I went to a thing in the city, and I was on the train at the time that I was normally be writing. So I'm sitting there on the train, and my brain is like, hello, ideas. The characters knock in the back of my brain, and they're like, hey, hello, you need to be taking down what we are doing right now. We are doing things. Pay attention.
Right.
So I'm typing away on my phone as I'm sitting on the train heading back to my apartment. So I think that's the more important thing, is to have the habit and not worry so much about the place, because then if your routine changes and you can't be at that place, that could give you a block. I see that in some author groups. Whereas if you just have like this, after I do this activity, like after I go to work or have dinner or whatever, I write. I find somewhere and I write. Then your brain will be like, hey, this is that time. I'm ready. Get your pen and paper, get your phone, get whatever you're using to write things down, get them. I'm ready to go.
Okay. Yeah, I dig it. I'm similar in that I'm traveling a lot. I've got other work happening. I mean, and I think that's what, so I'll share what I've been doing lately, so that we can, kind of talk about this idea of a productive space, because I think it's important for the people who need a space, right? Like, I mean, I've got an office space that I use, but I also do my day job here. And I found that I can get distracted because like I've got a stack, like just off screen here, I've got a stack of work for my film stuff that I need to get done. And when it's like dedicated writing time, I'm sitting here going,
yeah,
because it's calling me. I know it's there. It's stressing me out. It's distracting me. So I went traveling. I had a couple conventions to go to or whatever. And then I drove out to Tennessee for LibertyCon. And because of that, I was like in the car writing, and I was like parked off the side of the road writing, and like I found myself like at White Sands National Park writing, and like Crater of Diamonds National Park writing. I was like, wow, this is really kind of cool. Like just be out in nature writing and stuff. So when I got back, I live in the mountains. So when I got back, I was like, okay, well I'm going to be doing double shifts, right? I'm going to be writing at night, but rather than just like being in my office, mere 20 yards from my bed, where it can be kind of tough to like fight the urge to just go to sleep, I'm gonna drive up into the hills and just like park somewhere fun, park at a waterfall and write, to the point where I've gotten hot because it's 1 billion degrees in California right now, and have like in the middle of the night stripped down into my underwear, waded out into the middle of a creek, and like with laptop in hand been writing in the middle of a creek.
I would drop the laptop.
There were a couple dicey moments. There were mossy rocks under there, which I was not expecting. So
that's why I write on my phone, and I have a cord that I got this cool it's this bungee thing that goes around the case, and then you clip it to a like cord that you like drape around yourself, so you can't, if you drop the phone, it doesn't go anywhere. It hangs on the cord. So that way you can write in any environment, and you don't have to worry about it going into water or places your writing implement shouldn't go.
Right. And I mean, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about with this writing space, because I feel like the space isn't necessarily super important, but like the technology you deploy, we've talked about dictation, you use cool like bungee that you're wearing to keep your phone. My laptop, like out in the middle of the creek, I've got a solar battery that I've been setting on my car hood, and like keeping my laptop charged as I write. So, I think that but it's also like comfortable chairs, like if you're sitting on a wooden bench with no back,
on the subject of comfortable chairs, because I spent several years trying to get the right chair. If you're a tall man, you're good. All chairs are created for tall men. If you are a short woman like I am, I'm barely 5'2". I know you can't tell on Zoom, it makes me look tall, but I'm actually very small. I'm almost hobbit sized. So it's finding a chair where the lumbar support is in the right place. Like so many chairs, like, oh, it's adjustable. Yeah, it's adjustable only to a certain height. If you're below that, which I am, then absolutely no office chair is going to be is going to work for you. There's very few that are actually adjustable down to the right height, and you have to worry about seat depth. If you're short with short legs like I am, then if your seat is very deep, which most office chairs are over 21 inches deep, that is entirely too, I can't, I'm on a chair like that, I will be 4 inches from the back of the chair, because otherwise I can't put my feet on the ground. And then it becomes, so if you're listening to this, take a look at your chair. Like, are you sitting all the way back with the lumbar? Because if your chair has lumbar support, but you were sitting 4 inches from the back of the chair because the chair is too long for you, you are not benefiting from that. Your chair is not ergonomic, and you need to get a chair that fits you.
Yeah.
That's my speech. I went through about 5 different chairs before I found one that actually was small, that was the right seat depth. so I could sit where you're supposed to with your back all the way back against the ergonomic rest and your feet on the floor. It's crazy. There's only a couple of brands that actually make chairs in different sizes. So if you go to Amazon, just order an office chair. If you're short, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah,
they're all made for men who are about 6 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm a chair snob, so I go through a lot of chairs, and this chair is actually it's pretty comfortable. But the reason I got it is it's a lay flat convertible chair, so it actually like pivots down and has like a extension, so I can sleep on it. Like I wanted
one of those, but they don't. The seat was too long, and I wouldn't be able to put my feet on the floor. They were all the 18 to 21 inches, which is too much for me. I don't have long enough legs.
It's definitely like I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm like, it's definitely a deep chair even for me, and I'm 6'1". So but now
you're gonna be thinking about seat depth next time you look for chairs.
Right? So, but I got it for very specifically because I have a lot of like instances where like I'll stop work at like 2:00 in the morning only to turn around and have a 4 a.m. call. And sometimes it's just not worth it to go inside and, whatever, I'll wake everybody else up. It's just, I'll just go down and take a nap and jump back up and rock and roll. So what about like shared or community spaces, right? So I know a lot of people who like go to Starbucks to write. Is that something that you do? Is that something that you condone? Like
I can't do that. I'm highly distractible. So being around other people, I'd be like, what are they talking about? Ooh, what are they drinking? What are they eating? What are they doing? And then my brain would be like, okay, why has this person been here for 3 hours? And what are they read? Like, I'd be all up in their business. So I can't do that. Even writing on the train is hard because I'm listening to everybody's conversation. But, in the Muse mocks, it was the time that I always write. So like the Muse was extremely loud. So I'm hearing their conversations, but I'm still writing.
Exactly. I mean, I'm always I'm always ready to write. So, like if the Muse hits, like I've got some device. I've got a laptop. I got a phone. I got something. I don't like writing on my phone.
I like it.
I don't know. I think it's because my phone goes off too much. So like it's just, I know I'm going to get distracted. Like I will actually go into like airplane mode when I'm going into like dedicated writing mode because my phone's just going off nonstop. So I'm like, okay, I need to disconnect for an hour.
Right.
So I try to avoid that, but like my laptop, I've got the desktop, but I try to make sure that like when that Muse hits, like I'm ready to go.
I think I like the phone because it's a smaller screen, and for me, it's like my computer at home, like my monitor is like 3 feet wide, very distracting.
Right.
But the small phone screen is I don't know.
You can focus down. Yeah.
It's just a small area, and I have like a Bluetooth keyboard for it, and sometimes I just use that because you can just stick it in airplane mode, or you can just do what I do and totally ignore anything that goes on because you're focusing so narrowly on the part of the screen that you don't notice the notifications at the top, or I don't while I'm writing. They'll be stacking up, and I totally won't even see them because I'm looking at. I usually have a YouTube video playing, so the YouTube video is up here, and I'm looking at the text down here. I totally ignore everything from the YouTube video up. I don't even see it. It's not where my eyes are.
I wish I could do that. Like the second I get a notification, I'm like, oh, what's that? Like I am like, squirrel. Yeah, I'm so distractible. I don't know if it's ADHD or just I don't know what it is, but and I'll research something, right? And because I'm on my phone, it's like I get other ideas for other things that I want to search for on my phone. Like it's I don't know. I'll go like 2 or 3 hours without writing on my phone and be like, oh, I was supposed to be writing. Dang it. So
yeah. One way that I found to not go down the research rabbit hole, because they're epic fantasy, and you can like, what did people back in X time period that roughly relates to the level of technology my people are at? What did they do to feed babies? What did they put on the baby's bottom because I unfortunately have a baby in the book that I'm currently writing, and I'm like, what did people do before there were diapers?
Right.
And so, I would have gone down a several-hour research hole on them, and now I just pull up ChatGPT or Claude and be like, what did people? This is fantasy. I just need something. I can later go back and find something else, but like, I just want to keep going. I need something. What did? Even if it's like wrong, I just need to put something here, I just get that, put it in, go back.
I agree. ChatGPT is such a good assistant tool. Like I want a voice function for ChatGPT. Like I actually want like an Amazon Alexa, but I want it to be ChatGPT, where I can just be like, hey, assistant, find me a cure for a headache that is 2,000 years old.
Yeah, it's not likely to poison anyone.
Right, that's not going to poison a child.
Ancient folks had some very interesting ideas about what was medicinal.
Yeah.
Some of it was actually medicinal, but some of the things they did, it might kill the child.
It's one of those things where it's like if you get a cramp in a pool, bite your lip as hard as you can. It doesn't actually solve the cramp, it just makes your mouth hurt, right? So you're focused on something else. What about like inspiration from famous writers' routines? Like, have you ever heard of like fun? It doesn't have to be famous authors, I guess, just other authors like writing routines and the things that they do or their environments.
Yeah, I love I can't think of the author's name. I can't think of the series. But I follow her on TikTok, and she does a bunch of videos every now and again where she talks about writing and what you can do. And her advice was to obviously to have a space somewhere that you do write, but also to have somewhere to go when you can't write. Like go for a walk, like have somewhere that you like to walk, and when you can't write, go for that walk and think about what's going on in the story, and oftentimes that will help jog you and bring something with you if you want to, so that if the idea hits, you can write it down. She doesn't. She would rather come back and do it, but she, I would have to I would take my phone with me and just start writing on it. I can't wait. I might forget it. I might run into people or start listening to their conversations and lose what I was. That's my squirrel, like actual humans.
Yeah, I swear I've solved the age-old question of what the meaning of life is. I just forgot what the answer was in between where I was
42.
Yeah, it's 42. Yeah, so I've ran across a few people that I thought were very interesting, right? Like I love the idea in theory. In practice, this would never work for me, right? But like in theory, I love the idea of these authors who pay for like a month cabin somewhere far away and like go and like produce a manuscript in that month. Like they have a hard deadline, like, there's no one around. There's, they just buy a month's worth of food. They have a cabin, like they just live story all day, and they do that for a month, right? I know one author in particular. I won't say their name because I don't know if they want this to come out or not. But they do 3 books a year, and they spend 3 months out of the year in a cabin, a specific cabin, I guess, like far away from home. They don't take their phone, like they just it's book time, and that's it. And I find that like simultaneously alluring and terrifying, because I feel like I kind of need the distraction occasionally just to kind of shake things up in there. Like I can get kind of like, I don't know, ground to a halt, and I need to watch some silly TikToks or I don't really watch TikTok, but like YouTubes or whatever, like I need to interact with some people and chat or whatever, just to kind of shake things loose a bit. But I love the idea, like the philosophy of, I'm going to go make a book. Not like I'm going to write a little bit every day, but like I'm just going to go make a book and write all day, and that's all I'm going to do.
I couldn't do it. I've taken time off, like I take time staycations where I was going to write and didn't. Ended up doing anything and everything except writing. I produced more books faster by not doing that. By just every day, just finding some time to work on it.
It's
just chipping away at it piece by piece.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like I've not been more successful. So I just did this thing where I challenged myself to write a book in a week. So I did 104-ish thousand words in 4.5 days. But none of it was in my office. All of it was out in the car, in a creek, on a rock on the side of the road, in random parking lots. Like I got spooked out a couple times where like I was like parked at like a park and like a bunch of people kind of showed up at like 3 a.m. and I got kind of weirded out. So I drove to like a Vaughn's parking lot where there were lights and I watched a family of deer cruise through the Vaughn's parking lot, and I was just like, oh, this is rad, So it was like just the right level of distraction, but also I was like isolated in my car most of the time. So like nobody could bother me. Like I wasn't hearing people, but I could like look out and it was like watching TV where I could kind of see stuff happening and then go back to work. But I cranked the words out. Like it was pretty gnarly, but I challenged myself. I had a week to write the whole book. And I don't think I could have done it in my office. Like I don't know.
I don't think I could physically write 100,000 word. My books are pretty long. They're about 100,000 to 130. Well, some of them are a bit longer, more than 130,000. But I try to keep them to the 100,000s. That's enough mayhem for one book. Just my wrists would be killing me. Just like writing 5K on the computer. Like if the most I've written in one day was 7,000 words, and that was I had all these scenes stacked up in my brain, and the character's like, it's go time. So I was typing on my phone and like speaking it, like alternating back and forth, and I did about 7,000 words in about an hour and a half. Yeah. But then I was like done for. I was a wet noodle. My brain was like a wrung out washcloth. There was nothing left.
And that's how I am this week. So that was last week that I did that, right? And like this week, it's I'm like, all right, I got another writing project I got to do, and it's film related, but I'm on the struggle bus. Like it's being really hard. And so I have a custom built keyboard at my desk that is built to be able to handle 200 words per minute and is ergonomic and set up real nice.
Okay.
So that
I got the ergonomic, the Logitech one. It's like $50 on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. But my laptop is not ergonomic in any way, shape, or form. And the way that I'm sitting in my car is not ergonomic at all. So I finished and it was like, remember that scene in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective where he's in the rhino or whatever, and he like kind of sweaty, like coming out of the rhino. That's kind of how I felt coming out of my car after I finished this sprint. I was like kind of like unboxing myself, and it was awful. So I said, I'm never doing this again. And then now I'm doing it.
You gotta prioritize health, because if you just like, I've seen, I don't personally know the authors, but I've seen posts in the large groups like 20 books to 50K, authors who wrote at an unsustainable pace, who wrote like 20 hours a day, 7 days a week or something crazy like that, who destroyed their health, and now they can't write as much anymore physically because they have had to have surgery on their wrists. They've got back problems. Yeah. They're like completely destroyed. So like you only get one body. Don't destroy it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to try to do that at that pace again. And I don't know what possessed me to like challenge myself to this. Right? I was like, I'm gonna do it. I can do a book in a week. I know I can. But yeah, I wouldn't. I'm never going to do that again. Like a book a month. That's plenty. That's plenty fast.
Yeah. I don't trust my characters like stick to the plan. I feel like if you're gonna write 100,000 words in a week, you have a plan, and the characters need to stick to it. And my characters are not good at that. Right. They are also chaos demons. So
yeah,
every book there's a what the hell did they do now, and how what do I do with this?
Right.
It's good, but it's not what they were supposed to do. Yeah. We are 100 miles from where we're supposed to be. How do I get them over there? And there's like a chunk of time where I have to like figure this out.
My plot summary says they go right. Why did they go left? What's left? I have no idea.
Not only did they go left, they got into they jumped into a portal and went to like the other side of the world left.
Oh, yes, exactly. I'm right there with you. And I want to argue with my characters a lot because I'm like, no, you don't want to do that. Why are you doing that? And I'm writing them.
They're always right. They're almost always right. So like, that's why I wouldn't force it like that, because then you don't have any margin for error, because they're not going to listen unless you're one of those lucky plotters whose characters are very well behaved. I'm not one of those people.
I'm not. I feel like I'm kind of masochistic in that, like, I very diligently plot and outline and like do beats, and then by chapter 2 I'm completely off the rails, and I'm like, why don't we waste all the time plotting it out? Because like
exactly, that's why I write like 10 bullet points of things, like, because I write long series, and like, okay, we mentioned things in other books, so I put my 10, okay, these are the things we've mentioned, we need to hit some of these in this book. And then as it rolls along, I'll make a few more bullet points that we should try and hit. Yeah. And just keep it loose like that, and instead of spending a lot of time plotting things that they're just not going to do.
So you and I definitely thrive in chaos. I think that we're the rare breed of author, though. I think most people kind of like to have their kind of, dedicated space. What like final thoughts or like tips or tricks about like first of all, discovering what you need as an author, right? Because I think a lot of people, like, I definitely tried the whole dedicated space, like, put all my stuff up on the walls so I could be surrounded by it. And I found it just kind of like stressed me out, and like, I don't know, it wasn't very helpful. So like what recommendations would you give people for like how to discover what they need, and then kind of things that they can do, and it could be how like things that you use for like a portable writing setup, or so that you're just always on the go. Like I kind of have a like writing go bag. It's just my backpack. It's got a power cell in it, a solar charger, and so I can just grab that and I'm good to go wherever. So like, let's just take a minute, tips and tricks and ways that people can discover what they need.
I think I'd start with the basics. Get, an ergonomic chair, and like measure, do the research, figure out like for your body part, like what seat depth would be good for you. So you can have your feet on the floor, so your back can be against all the ergonomic stuff that's supposed to make your back feel great. And get the ergonomic mouse, so that, because it's a lot of wrist stuff. And I work with people who have destroyed their wrists and had surgery. It's not pretty. It's don't go there. Like, so start with the basics. Get the ergonomic mouse. Get an ergonomic keyboard. Just get the cheap one from Amazon, just to start with, just to try it. Because there's different types of ergonomic keyboards and different setups. And I figured out the one I want because I saw my boss using it, and I was like, that is perfect. And I got it, and it was. So, but not everybody has that. So I would start with the cheapest option and try different things. These things don't last forever, so by the time you're ready to replace it, or if you're like me and you spill stuff on your keyboard all the time because you're just categorically incapable of getting the glass of water or anything else from the table to your lips without it spilling everywhere, you'll go through several keyboards a year like I do. Yeah. So, yep. The other thing I would say is, get the chair, get the keyboard, get the mouse. And then that way you have a basic setup for somewhere. And then if you want to write on the go, I'd say like get some cloud writing thing, Microsoft Word, Open Office, Google Docs, something, so that if you can take down ideas in other places, or have a tablet, or something, or the free writer thing, or something that's portable, or even a laptop, something that you can take with you. If you're going to do a laptop, then I'd say like try and find like an ergonomic keyboard that folds up or something, so that because the laptop keyboards they're really bad for you because your wrists are resting on the actual laptop. Yeah. And it's so like, so set yourself up so you're not going to harm yourself. You get one body. Right. And if you're in the U.S. like we are, healthcare systems here sucks. And it's super expensive.
Yep.
So take care of yourself.
All right, Melinda, this has been awesome. Where can we find you? What are you excited about? And any closing thoughts you might have?
Sure. You can find me at my website, which is melindakucera.com, and it's just my whole name squashed together with a .com at the end. That's my digital home. And I'm super excited about the Rogue Gods trilogy.
Can we see the book?
Which is behind me. Which, yeah, like trying to grab them. They're chunky, so they're heavy. But yeah, oh gosh, here we go. So this is I just finished writing this, and it was just on, oh boy, oops, as I hit myself in the face with them.
So
and
good.
It was just on Kickstarter. This is book 2. I can't tell if you can see it.
Yeah.
Book 3.
Nice. Those covers are
chunky boy.
Those covers are absolute fire. I love them.
Thank you. We will not talk about how much time I spent on those. There's many days that I could have been writing that I was working on those covers, because I did the art for these books. They're the illustrated edition is it's accepting late pledges, so if you missed it, you can still, for a limited time, get your hands on them. And they are like super pretty.
Yes, they are. Very nice.
Hardcover.
There
you go. It's hard. I can't. It's like awkward to the camera. They're really pretty in real life. It's just hard. Zoom is hard to show on.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and your expertise, and good luck with the Kickstarter. I hope we'll definitely make sure to blast out the links and try to help out as much as we can, and keep thriving in the chaos, because we're all rooting for you.
Thank you. You keep thriving in the chaos too, and take care of yourself.
I do my best.
Do some self-care, please.
I will. All right. Thank you, Melinda. Have a good night.
Thank you.
So it's, again, it kind of comes down to what you need, right? I mean, that's what we're seeing here, is that it's a factor of, do you thrive in the chaos? If so, you're going to be like Melinda and I, where, you're going to be in your underwear in the creek trying to write. Or, you're going to be at work, you're going to be on the train, you're going to be on a plane, wherever you are, you'll have your stuff so that you can write. This is kind of a new thing for me, where I'm just trying it out. Like I wound up traveling and I wound up working, and I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. Like, there are places I want to explore in my neighborhood that I think could be super fun. So I'm going to do it. And it's been fun. It's been great. I've had a blast with it. Am I going to do it forever? No, probably not. I've got a great office. I love this space, but I got to get some of my other stuff figured out. And I think that's another really important point, is you got to make sure that you are doing a self-check. I mean, are you being efficient? Are you writing efficiently? Are you writing effectively? Do you feel at home in your space? Do you feel creative in your space? So, don't be scared to change it up. Jump in your car. I live on 100 acres. I just jumped in my car. It started with, I kind of test flew it, right? Where I just drove up onto the back 40 acres and parked and started riding. I was like, this is great. I'm going to go up to Glacier Point, Yosemite, and I'm going to check out Half Dome, and I'm going to watch the sunset on Half Dome, and I'm going to write while I'm doing that. And it was magical. It's a beautiful experience. So, find what you need. If you need a closet to write in, make yourself a closet to write in. Don't be scared to deploy technology too. Portable batteries, solar panels, soundproofing stuff, right? Like I need music, nice headphones. Like, all of it is an investment in you and your writing. So do what you can to make sure that you're in a comfortable, healthy, and creative space. I'm James Fox with Ink and Effort, and keep writing, keep pushing. And remember, it's the ink and effort that brings stories to life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all the social media handles for more tips and tricks and inspiration. Until then, keep writing.